today. I have to say I've enjoyed the sessions we've had this past week, and kind of in the theme of the topic introduced by Janice, right? Game-changing technologies. So I'll be talking a bit about my team at Dow. Oh, is that a little better? Awesome, thank you. So I'll be talking a bit about my team at Dow and what we're doing to drive forward these game-changing technologies. Sorry, I have to bend over a little bit on, it's not designed. There, it's a little better, okay. We'll figure this out before the end of the session. So my title's a little long here, so leading an innovation team, and that's critical, right? How do you shape and bring these amazing technologies into your companies? And that's what I'm hoping to share some insights. Maybe it will be helpful for you guys as you try to drive your companies forward in this fantastic journey and build careers for yourselves. So I'm starting out with a disclosure slide. Our information release, legal folks require this. So for anything I share here, please take this under advisement. There are some disclaimers. To set the stage, I really want to start with some high-level facts about Dow. So we are a material science company, one of the largest in the world. We have a very broad global footprint. We are in several countries around the world, about 55 billion in sales per our latest release back. This is an average from 2019 to 2020, but really a lot of diversified products, really a chain that really ties back to feedstocks in ethylene, propylene, and silicon. We're 125 years old, and what I have to say about that is really over that period of time, I've been at Dow for about 15 years now, and what I have come to appreciate with various roles in R&D to capital project work, plant operations, and now dabbling in the IT side of things, I've really come to appreciate a legacy in that 125 years really that Dow has established. I've seen in my 15 years a legacy and a culture of innovation, and that's really really important for this journey we're in right now with digital transformation. And that's an important lead into this next slide. So this is a slide that's actually been shared by our C-suite executives with investors. And what it tells, really just to encapsulate in a few words, it's showing two things: a commitment to, from an investment standpoint, and an expectation of positive return when it comes to digital transformation. So this is fantastic from a standpoint for us to have this very high level expectation and support. And so to accelerate, to drive this, what Dow did about 6 years ago, and I've heard that theme commonly with a bunch of the other presentations that have come through the past sessions, right? A lot of people started on this journey around 6 years ago, around 2015 timeframe. And Dow made a bet that forming 3 digital centers, innovation hubs rather, would be a great way to pull in and affect and drive forward our digital transformation strategy. So 3 digital hubs really trying to span business capabilities, really trying to make sure we're connected with our various businesses. So 6 years ago we started with a marketplace center, and what that was focused on was, and connecting to some of the things you're seeing here in the slide, really looking at some of the things that were started in R&D with new products, using AI to develop new products faster, bring those to market, and then connect that to a frictionless e-commerce buying experience for customers. So there was some opportunity seen in that space. So the second center that was formed was my center, the Digital Operations Center, and our focus was, okay, how do we look at digital manufacturing from a lens of how do we drive and improve operations in manufacturing, plant operations, and engineering. And then a third center was formed to focus on supply chain side. But overall, with these 3 centers, again, the focus was, hey, our executives, our C-suite saw this opportunity to go and drive innovation, and different companies may have had different approaches. You could bring a third-party vendor to come and drive digital transformation for you. This is just the approach Dow decided to pursue. So with regard to my team, you might be wondering, why that approach? Why form these innovation centers within Dow? So we were doing this to answer this specific question of how do we funnel these digital transformation technologies into Dow? How do we funnel? Because just think about it, right? You have a new phone, basically. All the phone providers have a new phone every year. Technology is changing so fast. So you have to have a place where you can assess things. And that was the perspective, a vehicle to seed and test growth concepts and form them into tangible solutions that you could try and take forward. So with that mindset, we decided to approach that with forming these digital centers, which were meant to be small, nimble teams that could move fast, that could pivot where necessary, and basically, in some cases, just fail a lot of things quickly, whether it's because we've got a product that didn't live up to what we thought the vendor said it could do, or maybe the product worked just fine, but it just wasn't a good fit for us. So for my team, we brought a motley crew. I like to call us a motley crew of folks with diverse skill sets. So within my team, we've got chemists, we've got electrical engineers, robotics folks, we've got IT architects, we've got cybersecurity specialists, and what we're doing with that diverse background or diverse skill base and diverse backgrounds, because people were coming into our team from R&D, from maintenance, from IT, bringing those teams together under one reporting structure. That was a great way to start, and where people were sitting together, building off each other. What one perspective from the chemist would definitely be different from the IT architect specialist, and together they can start to really articulate and understand, hey, this digitally emerging technology, how can we plug that into the capability gaps we have? So once you have that approach, how do you get that team to start to churn out value? So first thing to consider is talent. So you've got that whole team together. It's important to put them under, at least for us, it was important to put them under one reporting structure. And what this allowed is for our team to have one focus, and then connecting out to partners. So we've got great partners in organizations, like we've got a technology owner group called the Operations IT/OT team. Fantastic, great, smart people as technology owners. We've got our engineering expertise group, who deal with robotics. We've got different folks in R&D and IT. So we become the center place to pull on SMEs where needed to kind of, again, focus that effort. So talent, really, how do you bring that talent together? That's the first consideration. Second consideration is the culture of that innovation team. So when I talk about culture, what I'm thinking there is, to be honest, right now in my team, I've got a lot of very self-driven people who are not afraid to fail, people who are afraid to push the envelope, challenge the status quo, be thought leaders, pivot where necessary, but all with that also trying to be humble and to be teachable, because when you're working at the edge, you're constantly learning. And so folks who have that aspect, that culture, that nature of, I'm interested in learning, I'm interested in understanding. How do we do this? How does this all plug together? And you've got folks learning from each other. Third consideration is footprint. So this is where that small but nimble statement comes into play a little bit more specifically. And what you can find is that sometimes when you have an innovation team, very quickly they find maybe a golden nugget that looks very promising, they go start to deliver, and very easily that could turn into a scale and support team. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, it just has to be a well thought out strategic decision from you, not something that happens organically, because then you get unexpected results, which might be good but also might be bad. So that's one extreme where they become a scale and support team. They will lose some capacity to do innovation. The other extreme is where you've got one innovation team, they do fantastic work, and so you think, oh great, I'm gonna get 100 of these. And you pepper them across your organization. Now, again, there's companies that have done that and found success. That really has to, again, be a strategic decision. If it happens organically, where people just get excited and start forming their own teams, you can start to have a lot of confusion. You'll have teams working on the same thing. You'll have people going in 15 different directions, and it can be chaos. So is the answer 100 teams, 1,000 teams? Is it 0? Is it 3? That's something you have to think about for yourselves in your teams. The other piece about footprint, last point I'm going to make about that is you also have to decide where your organization, your innovation hub is going to sit. So it could sit as a function of your IT organization. It could sit within your R&D function because that's where a lot of your innovation happens. It could sit within your OT, your manufacturing teams. That's, again, a decision you have to make strategically. For us, we decided to keep our team small, nimble, with a shared footprint across IT and OT, but again, squarely focused on innovation. So, talking a little bit more about strategy, what we've found is the best way to push our technologies forward is to have the balanced approach where you're considering not just the technology strategy, but the business strategy as well. And when I talk about these two terms, technology strategy and business strategy, what we're basically trying to do is answer two key questions. Technology strategy is answering the question of why are you considering that technology solution? Whereas in contrast, the business strategy is focused on why are you working on that specific problem? So let me talk a little bit more about technology strategy and business strategy in our team. So for our team, when I talk about technology strategy, what I'm trying to refer to is the fact that you're out there, you're looking at concepts, you're exploring concepts, you're within some bounds, of course. You're not going completely out there looking at anything. You're looking at agreed upon strategic focus areas like robotics or like AI, that you've decided, hey, these are promising areas that you're gonna, in terms of where you learn what those strategic areas are, you come to forums like this, you come to ARC, you talk to industry peers, you're looking at technology roadmaps, you're involved in research studies with different organizations, you're doing prototype assessments. And with all that, that's important to do because when it comes to your business strategy and you have a defined problem, what you don't want to do is immediately jump in, start to solve that problem, because what solution are you going to pick? You're going to pick whatever's top of mind, whether it's the vendor that just happened to email you at that moment or whoever's most aggressive, and is that the right pick? It's important to have this balance where you've got time dedicated to figuring out your technology strategy, you're looking out there, I like the term mapping the emerging digital technology landscape. And then connecting that to your business strategy. When your business strategy, where your business strategy comes into play here is having an operating model. And for us, that's a great term in terms of articulating how you can have a way to shepherd your technology forward and de-risk it in order to shape it towards the capability gap that your business units, your business division presidents have defined, your colleagues in the plants have defined. You're looking at what's the opportunity statement. Is the value case safety? Is it some kind of productivity metric? You're looking at architectural fits in terms of your current IT structure. Hey, look at your current base of investments and how does this new solution fit with that? Again, something to consider in this business strategy section. You're looking at who's going to own the technology, who's going to scale and support this. And ultimately, we have an innovation project stage gate review process where we go from value alignment all the way through to pilot to scale. And in interplay between each of these boxes, you've got stage gate reviews where you're asking core questions and looking for red flags. Hey, are we at the point where we want to kill this? And there's value in doing that because again, not from the standpoint of looking for perfection. You'll never get to perfection. We look for red flags. So when I talk about specific technology areas, these are the areas that, at least in my team, that we've identified as core and important of key interests for us. So we've got a digital thread technology team looking at bridging data across data silos. We've got a process automation team looking at how we can help connect our board operators to our field folks. We've got a worker mobility team looking at that field worker and saying, well, what kind of wearable technology should they have? What kind of infrastructure can connect those wearables from a wireless standpoint to the folks who are needing to see that data and connect and make decisions from it? And then also, how does that field worker bring information that they need from the data silos around the different data repositories to help them make the right decisions they need to make in the field? We have a team in robotics who are looking at ways to take people out of harm's way, reduce elevated work, reduce confined space entries. We've got an analytics and AI team looking at the broad spectrum of analytics from the standpoint of providing information for people to make the right decisions, data presented in a way that helps them do that, to the extreme of, hey, let's look at AI, let's look at machine vision, natural language processing, large language models like ChatGPT, machine learning, and then finally advanced sensors. And this is looking at ways that we can do our measurements with smaller footprints, different type of measurement technologies, whether it's acoustics or again, going back to machine vision, could we do something in that space? And then all of this, right, our team, basically, all members of my team are aligned to one of these, at least one of these technology platforms, and this is all centered with risk management in mind at the center of all of it, because privacy reviews, cybersecurity reviews are important to make sure that risk management is an enabler and not a barrier to progress. So let's talk about results. You may have heard a little bit about this in some of the earlier talks from some of my colleagues like Clark Dressen, or some of the talks with Kyndryl. But what Dow was able to do from a critical investment in our digital infrastructure was we were able to basically deploy a site-wide wireless network, private LTE network. And that's significant because especially for where we were able to deploy that in our first case, which was down in Freeport, Texas, we have about 20 square miles. That's huge. So in one sense, you might think, well, 20 square miles. Verizon covers the United States. Why is that so impressive? It's not just the size of the production facility. That's the largest, by the way. Freeport for us, this is our largest production facility in the world. It's also the largest integrated complex, manufacturing complex, chemical manufacturing complex in the Western Hemisphere. You've got a high density of metal, and that complicates signal propagation. So working with partners like Kyndryl and Nokia have been fantastic to enable us to not just do this, to get the information to our frontline workers, the right information at the right time, but doing this all in just under a year. About several procedures, multitude of procedures were converted to from paper form to digital form, addressing not just concerns with how the workflow proceeds, but hey, let's also address pain points so we can push user adoption. And this was a leading industry investment. We've had folks in the plant say thank you, and they appreciate this. They really like it, but also having recognition externally. We received a CIO 100 award for this effort in 2022. But with all that, that's not to say that there weren't challenges, and my team was very closely involved with this at the front end, doing the proof of concept assessments, trying to understand and shape, hey, what about these various technology considerations? There were so many challenges with the fact that we were looking at a lot of disparate data systems. Here I have listed. So disparate data systems, you had to deal with change management from the standpoint of, well, you've got people who have to work with this technology. You have scale and support teams that need to be considered with all of this. You have to address skill uplift from the standpoint of how do these teams learn and know how to use these tools. You have to, as it goes, evaluate challenges as they arise, be ready to pivot, be ready to grow. And through all these deployments, again, it's very fast moving, but you're gonna discover new opportunities to layer on top of this initial critical investment, new capabilities from a digital transformation standpoint. So from a strategic value and growth standpoint, there's really just two pieces I want to say from a layering standpoint. We're seeing opportunities in improved safety where our robotics team are trying to reduce confined space entries. They're trying to increase utility of robotics, and this is where wireless networks can be very valuable, and the imbuement and this is where you can start to use AI in a very interesting way with the robotic systems that we're deploying. You're doing a lot of system integration. And so we've had a lot of great success there. We're looking to deliver even more value. And then reliability. How do you adopt and plug in these sensors and connect them together, building out new workflows, finding predictive maintenance opportunities on strategic assets. This is where you really, again, start to build and grow from an accelerated value delivery standpoint. So some closing thoughts. What you really want to consider with your teams is you want to have a balanced approach to both technology and business when forming and potentially considering whether you want to form innovation teams internally. You have to have a stable vision in this team that goes all the way to your C-suite. You need to make sure that you're aware that you're going to have scale-up challenges, and how do you pivot that back and connect that back into your innovation teams to look for solutions, whether it's maybe integrating various systems. Again, 125 years old, Dow has a lot of systems around the world. And again, then the final point I would say is don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to iterate towards success. And that's how we've sustained and found a lot of value. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.